I'm Toria.
And I'm Diana with the Human Community. And today we have the honor of welcoming a guest whose presence is as grounding as it is expansive. Al Bailey is a teacher, a healer, and a practitioner of ancient breath and movement wisdom. He's the creator of the Latran method. It's a sacred circle walking practice that weaves Qigong, Bagua, indigenous earth wisdom, and energetic alignment into a path of personal revelation and healing. He was a junior Olympian, coach, athletic trainer, grief counselor, and a corporate leader before he began studying the healing arts.
Al's life and work are deeply rooted in honoring the ancestors, listening to the body, and remembering the breath as our original medicine. His teachings invite us to slow down, spiral inward and upward, and return to the rhythms of nature, the rhythms that are carried inside of us. He reminds us that this path is not about doing more, it's about remembering what's already within us. Today, we step in that circle with him, and we're so honored to have him with us.
Absolutely. I've been listening to his other interviews, and I just can't wait to actually talk with him.
We are so excited to have you with us here today, Al. Thank you so much for being here.
Oh, my pleasure. It's a joy just to be here and be able to share.
So I would love to tell everybody how I originally met you. We have a beautiful mutual friend named Anne that Diana and I went to Thailand with, and she's one of your dear friends as well. And just before we went to Thailand, I had injured my foot, which was a total bummer, but it didn't prevent me from going to Thailand. I still went. But, you know, the whole trip, I was really suffering from my foot injury. In fact, some of the pictures with me and the elephants, you can see my foot all bandaged. And so when we got back from Thailand, I went and visited Anne, and she said, "You've got to meet Elle because you're also a massage therapist." So she took me to your healing studio, and I don't know what you did, but it was the most amazing healing I've ever had. It didn't feel like a traditional massage. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I remember you saying that you were opening up the gateways, and so you just touched a few areas on my knee and my foot. The floodgates just came out, and I was releasing, and I was crying and sobbing, and it was trauma that I was releasing from God only knows where. But a few days after I saw you, my foot felt much better. It was just amazing. So thank you for that. You are an incredible healer. Did you want to explain a little bit about what happened that day that I met you as far as what that healing technique is?
It's related with the circle walking. It's an 8-gate massage practice that involves awakening the spine and in an alignment with the body, the mind, and the breath. What energy you brought into the session, I held that energy because that's your intention. You had an intention already set from your subconscious. So holding that energy allowed you to feel yourself and be yourself, and the body totally opens in that space because we're not foreign to ourselves. When we're present with ourselves, we can recognize what's related to what you were feeling, and we relate with it through breathing rather than talking or thinking, because breath was present when you did the injury or the injury occurred. So breath has to be part of the solution. Can't be just glanced at. We look at it. We dive into it because it was there when it occurred. And so we held that space so your body could understand what its job was to let go, because you let go. You came in with an intention of receiving something to better your trip or whatever the intention was. And by me holding that energy, your body was able to adjust itself and to move back into your natural rhythm and flow, which is just allowing the breath to carry you rather than living in our mind. And did we walk the circle that day?
Yeah, I believe we did.
People come to me and I put them in the circle before we do body work because it gets them out of their head. It's impossible to think when you're walking around an 8-foot circle that's routed into a foam mat. So getting out of your head, then going to get on the table, you're not thinking. That leaves your body wide open. So it's easier to access the release points in the body that we work with that day. Just working those points release other areas of the body. So it's less work. The body does the work. You got out of the way and you witness this work. You witness your body doing the work. That's how I distinguish the difference between massage and body work.
It was amazing.
It's like a not doing. I didn't do anything. We showed up. You brought your energy. I showed up. We mirrored. And then your body told my hands where to go, how much pressure, when to back off, when to hold.
It was beautiful. Thank you for that.
Wow.
You're welcome.
So, Al, your background is incredibly diverse and your backstory. How did all of your experiences throughout your life lead you to the creation of the Latron method?
When I was about 15 years old, I was at a family reunion, and for some reason, I've always been able to read energy in people. Like people read books, I read energy that way. But I didn't understand. And that day at the family reunion, it came to me that I'm different than everybody. We're all different. I don't have to do that, you know? And I started reasoning with myself. And I had been involved with the Junior Olympics and AAU for a few years. And so I knew my body. And I knew how to work with my breath in my body in the sports. So sports got me involved. And I had a car crash a couple of years out of high school. And the car crash, long story short, it took my old life, gave me a different life. And I began something totally unknown to myself. And I was navigating my way with my breathing through this because that's all I had. I lost my sight in the car crash. Wow. I lost my ability to speak what I was thinking. My balance was thrown off. I had to learn to walk again the next day. I started moving in a whole different body. And it took a while to recover. And in that recovery, I learned about the power of breath. And I had to use it to sit up, to lay down, to turn over. I had to watch my breathing to get my thoughts out. And so I started taking notes mentally and using it over and over because that's what was serving me then to help me to get around and to be well.
Did you ever feel any fear during that time?
Oh, yes. Sometimes it was constant. Because of the head injury, it was hard to go to sleep, not knowing if you're going to wake up because I had already gone blind. And I didn't know what that head injury had done to my body and my brain or whatever, you know, because my parents were old school. So there wasn't a whole lot of x-rays and things like that. They let me come home the night of the car crash. And I got to go back in 2 days to get x-rays. They should have done that night, but they didn't. And my left ear was pretty much smashed. I had 13 stitches here. A piece of glass went through and came out on the backside after 2 years. So that experience got me involved with everything that has brought me to now, mindfully, consciously. Because before that, I was not conscious. The crash woke me up to something, my greater self. So I got to watch my old self dismantle from my being. Old habits, old thoughts were leaving. And some I wrestled with. And you're never perfect. However, I've gotten to a point where I know now enough that I can relax in my body in any moment, in any given time, and take that everywhere I go. There's a stillness that I've cultivated from that time you ask about until now. That stillness has become so strong that I can walk and talk and drive in it and eat my food. Meditation is moving. It's a moving meditation.
I remember at one time you had told me, you had said, I'm going to try to remember your quote, but you said, when you stub your toe, it already happened. That's kind of what you're talking about.
Yes. I believe that when we're born, we have the injuries within us that we're going to go through, the traumas, the breaks, the scrapes, the bumps and bruises. It's the living that we do that brings it to the surface so that we can see the physicality of it and deal with it through the breathing, not through outside intervention unless it's necessary. But the body is designed to heal itself. So if I stumped my toe going outside, that was there. that stumping brought it to the surface to deal with it. In the process of dealing with that which I'm feeling, I'm releasing the inflammation, the tension that was already there.
Oh, I
So
see.
that behind the stumping, there's information that's pertaining to something that you're now ready to deal with. But it was already there. The situation brought it to the surface so that you could begin or continuate your processing of it.
So your car crash, same thing.
Yes, yes. I was carrying certain things in me that were no longer nurturing to my intention. The car crash slowed me down, brought me to zero so that I could release these things. Because in the stillness that we cultivate is how we release what we're clinging to or attached to. And the attachment and the clinging is what's causing the problems. We're responsible for what we're going through. We are conditioned to look outside or blame outward, to seek outward for results or someone to blame. But when we take responsibility, anything and anyone outside you then is then revealed to you so that you can relate with it in a different way from then on. That it doesn't have to bog you down in your thinking and figuring. We always think that we can figure our way through a situation, but sometimes it's not the figuring that brings the clarity. It's the feeling. It's the acceptance of the feeling. When we accept and embrace the feeling, we're no longer attached and we're no longer allowing what we're dealing with to persist because we're not resisting. By not resisting, the persistence stops. And so what's there can move to the surface. And the more calmness and stillness we bring, the more things will come to the surface that we can process through our breathing to reclaim our power that's been suppressed by the inflammation. So we
That's
bring the
awesome.
Qigong, we bring the movements into the circle
I like
because
that.
we are a circle, a sphere of energy. So when I go into my mat on the porch to walk, I'm bringing two circles together. I'm stepping into my infinity in possibilities and abilities. And walking the circle activates that spin inside my body, that DNA movement. You're activating everything that's involved with your life when you walk in that circle because your mind is not thinking and you're cultivating your energy we call chi.
So I am a proud owner of a Latron mat. I bought that for myself for my 57th birthday, and it's the greatest thing I've ever done. So again, I'm grateful for that. Let's talk about what led you to that creation of the Latron method and how you got there.
My injuries, the memories that I've been carrying from the car crash, being an athlete, knowing that I wasn't going to compete the way I used to compete. I wanted something that I could do for the rest of my life as an exercise movement to keep me strong, to keep my body, because once an athlete, always an athlete. And every athlete that is not able to compete the way they used to, they become miserable if they don't find something to do to balance or match that energy that they were putting out. So that's my subconscious, that's my intention. And like I said, the heart is electro and magnetic. So that thought, that intention would go out when I thought about it. It would come back when I exhale first. Now I know that today. It's the injuries that I had that became awakened on a China trip in 2002. And I watched those injuries leave my body as I continued to do the Bagua training that I learned while I was in China. I watched the injuries come up and dissipate because of how I was responding to them, not reacting in my mind. So I knew I had something. And I started out with, how can I put the 8-foot circle on a piece of instrument or a cloth and make it so that you can feel it when you walk around the circle. You can feel it with the soles of your feet. Nobody could do anything that was organic and close to natural. I mean, what I'm doing, what I have now, is not natural, but it's more organic because it gives you feedback.
Yeah.
They wanted to put chemicals and things in the cloth to make it feel like there was sand or something there, or a bumpy area that you could follow with your feet. So I bought some indoor-outdoor carpet, astroturf, and I cut a complete circle in it. And then I made each corner, I cut it off to make it 8 sides. So you have a circle, and on the outside of that circle, it's 8 sides to match what I had learned in China. That lasted for a while. Then I retired and I moved to the beach. I set this up in my office, got pictures of it, that I would walk around the circle because I could feel it. And I didn't have to look down. I could trust where I was. So it's another way of building trust through the walking. So I had some of my clients do it and a few other people. So I moved to the beach and I said, wow, maybe if I cut footsteps out. And I got a picture of that one. That's another prototype that didn't work. But it led me to where I am. So I cut these feet out the size of my feet, and I put steps going around in a 360-degree circle. And I would train on that for a while. And then I was at a t-shirt printing company about to get these shirts printed. And my friend said, what about the kids' mats? You know, the ABCs with the bright colors, you know? I was like, dude, I saw it right then. I was like, that's it. I started out with mats that were like 3/4 of an inch and they were too thin. They'd break up when the router run through. And I worked my way up from there to now today. The one that you have is a full 1-inch mat. It's MMA quality and it's been tested for chemicals and all of that. It's really safe for the skin and the body. The progression of the prototype just kept getting, because I wanted to have the best quality that would last for a long time, indoor and outdoor. So they're waterproof and everything. Yeah, that was a short version of the journey. Yeah, I walked in the backyard when I came from China because I was taking care of my pops. He was bedridden. So I used the circle walking to keep my body strong so I could pick him up and help him for 3.5 years. And in that time, I walked that deep into the ground.
Wow.
So that's a lot of where the motivation come from. And then the walking on the beach when I got back to the Outer Banks. Walking in the sand is very powerful because it activates every muscle in your body. So I was activating all my old injuries through the walking in the sand. And I walked in the sand for 1 year, maybe missing 2 weeks out of the year total. But I was there every day at sunrise as a meditation. And I would make the circle and I would walk and train. There was other people training with me. But that was one of the really key ingredients in designing the mat. Because when I came home from walking one day, I drew this. This is the first drawing of the mat.
That's it. That's beautiful.
This is the first drawing.
What is the significance of the 8-foot circle?
The significance is that it matches your body construction, the jaw. These are the gates, the 8 gates that allow movement. Movement is life. It's constant. It doesn't have a pause. So the 8-foot circle addresses your life through the 8 gates and your breathing. The jaw is 1, the neck 2, shoulders are 3, elbows 4, wrists 5. These gates are like the joints that allow the movement. You can call them joints if you like. Hips 6, knees 7, ankles 8. So we're designed that way with our 8 gates. Our mind loses focus every 7.5 to 8 seconds. The energy of the sun shines through us, through our center, which is just below our navel, into the center of the earth and back again through us into the sun and back again, back and forth in a figure 8, non-stop. One cycle, 8 minutes. The local on the 8s, that's proven with the weatherman. They get their information every 8 minutes, so they give you your local on the 8s. So Latron is like your personal on the 8s because inside you, your energy cycles, one cycle, 8 seconds.
Wow,
so walking in
beautiful.
an 8-foot circle is activating your body's ability to heal from the inside, starting just below your navel, moving in all directions, 360 degrees, which is 8 times 45, one cycle. So bringing your cycle to the cycle, you're creating this is how the DNA moves. It's how we're made up. And that walking, say you're walking counterclockwise, then your body energy is spinning from what we call your dantian, just below your navel. Your body's spinning clockwise, counterclockwise energy, opening the gates. When you stop and go the other way, the energy has to stop. So it's precise and it's intentional. So you can use intentional setting to manifest. You can manifest through setting intentions and then walking about it.
So you talk about, I've heard you say that your work that you do is not really a work out, it's a work in, and we walk inward and upward. Can you explain that more for the listeners?
Our walking and training is a work in because we're all at a certain place in our life. So we're all a work in progress. We're unfamiliar with the process. This gives you a process. This training gives you a process. That process helps you to understand yourself. So it continuates your journey. Whatever you're doing, it doesn't matter what your chosen profession or art or hobby or craft is. You can perfect it or enhance it through circle walking because it helps you to fine tune yourself to your more authentic being.
Beautiful.
I love that.
Yeah, it going upward is like you're clearing the mind, you're decluttering as you train. So it's rooting in the movement and it's also opening in the practice.
How do you think that that affects the earth? If someone is, it obviously affects your body in a positive way. How does that work with the earth? Do you think that that changes her vibration when you walk on the beach?
I think that we can't hurt her. She's more powerful than what we could ever imagine. Yes. And that the walking and stomping on her is massaging her. And she likes that because she can take care of us in more ways than we could even put on paper. And it fine-tunes our frequency with her because nature's frequency is our frequency. And when we learn to be still in nature, we get to recognize ourselves as nature, not a part of, but as nature. She is a complete mirror that's reflecting what we're running from and also reflecting what we're moving towards. She's there, and she's very powerful, undefeated.
Yes.
But yeah, I think it enhances the earth, just like when we dig in it, when we plant.
Yeah.
But it's grounding, it's rooting. It's a way to activate nitrous oxide in the body. It's a way of, especially on the edge where the water meets the sand, that's the negative ions that the body feeds on. It's really nurturing in our quest to heal. Also,
I've heard that.
You're activating all kinds of DMT, mitochondria, your stem cell activity, you're lowering your blood pressure, you're doing all kinds of stuff just by being there when the sun starts to move. Or we move, whichever way you see it. There's energy going on, and there's change in that. When you start to see the sun, the winds change, the fish change, the ocean change, the waves sound different, and you're aligning yourself with the circadian rhythms. So it's also going to help you to rest at night just by being on the earth, barefooted. It's very powerful. It's an experience. More so than what you could explain to someone. People say, why are you walking in circles? I was like, well, first of all, I'm walking in a circle. And
it's a very deliberate circle.
It is. And I say, I'm walking because of what it did for me before. So I'm walking again. And that's why I walk, because of the results.
And when you're walking in the circle, you are breathing in a specific way?
No.
Or
I'm allowing the breath to move me in my walk because my intention is to not think. And so the breathing is absorbing the stress of the movement and the patterns and the twisting and turning and the arm movements, the mudras that we hold while we're walking. Yeah. We create pressure, but we're releasing it as we create it. We're addressing the issue in the recognition.
When I walk in the circle using your method, it feels like everything inside of me, all the spaghetti, all the chatter is unwinding. It feels like when you hold, like back in the day when we would hold the telephone cords. Remember how they would get all tangled up, and you hold it upside down and it twirls to unravel, or hair dryers can do that too. That's how it feels when you're walking in this circle and doing those movements. It's very grounding and energizing and relaxing all at the same time. It's
multi
beautiful. Yeah.
infinite. We hold our memory in the occipital region here. So at night, the eyes will do rapid eye movement automatically without your control, unwinding you from the tension created throughout the day.
I did not know that.
Yeah,
So
I didn't know that either.
when you do it manually,
You
that's
sleep
powerful.
better.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You could do it before you go to bed. You could just lay there and take 2 fingers and put up and just do rapid eye movement for a little bit, as fast as you can, and stop, take a break, and go back and do it again, back and forth. And it just really slows down the biorhythm. So when you're walking the circle, you're activating everything because it's 8, it's infinite. There's nothing left out of that. I think this is one reason that the Chinese government didn't want this information, this knowledge, to go too far outside of where they were allowing it to go. And
because they didn't want us to have our power.
Right. They'd rather have us dependent on something outside of ourselves for our solutions, rather than to know that we can solve our own problems from the inside.
Yeah.
But we haven't been taught. We've been tricked, lied to, unintentionally and intentionally.
You had said that breath is always now.
Mm-hmm.
It is not past or future, because the next breath is not a promise. That is your quote. Could you speak to that? That's such a powerful truth.
By it not being a promise, then we could lose the breath we have and not see a next. So the only breath that we could recognize is the one that we recognize in the moment. That makes the moment a gift. And unless you can be present, you can't open it. Because it's a present, it's a gift, it's the moment, that's the gift, it's power. You know the old African proverb, it said the moment is a gift in life. That's why it's called the present.
Mm.
So a lot of people have their own gifts of presence inside, but they don't know how to be still in the moment. So I had to learn to be still and then learn to walk in that stillness, because walking in that stillness is cultivating from the Dantian. So you have a reference point. That point of reference in the Dantian is connected to the center of the earth, the sun. See? It's back and forth. It's nonstop. It doesn't have a pause. So when we practice our breathing in the Latron method, we do the exhalation first, and we pause after we're empty to oxygenate and alkaline the systems. And when we feel that pressure after pausing, you feel the pressure outside you. Once you recognize the pressure, then you allow the breath to come in without force or control. You're allowing. Once you fill up, you pause again. So the goodies are in the pause. That space between the 2 circles that make the symbol for infinity represents the pause between each breath.
Mm. Can we talk a little bit about the exhale? Yes, because I know conversations I've had with you and in the training as well with your Latron method, you talk a lot about exhaling, and you even told me the story about the hammock. That's a powerful story.
So the exhalation is the power. I'm going to take it to the root. We all began life with an inhalation from the womb. Out of fear of not having life, we came grasping for it. Some didn't get to exhale, but we came in on the inhale. So inhale, inhale. Hell is hot. But we inhale because of the trauma that we just experienced. Of what? Birth.
Yeah.
Birth is the first trauma. So we're all equipped to process trauma through our breathing. But we have to practice exhaling when we're traumatized or when we're angry. Frustration, grief sets in, anger, fear, the unknown. We get in our mind, and that causes the shallow breathing. So I designed the practice around the exhalation first as a process. What it does is it activates the vagus nerve, the exhalation, because the lungs are sitting on the diaphragm. They're not muscles. A lot of people don't know the lungs are not muscles. They don't move on their own. They're dependent solely on the diaphragm. The exhalation is the diaphragm pushing the air out. That's activating the vagus nerve, which is connecting all the nerves in the body, every organ. It's activating the parasympathetic and the sympathetic. And the sympathetic nervous system is connected to the subconscious. That's where we're holding the patterns that need to be healed, the bumps and bruises and the scrapes. If the birth was traumatic, that too can be healed through the recognition. In the recognition, we don't get in our head and think about it. We go to the exhalation first because it continuates the process, because we're all a work in progress, like we spoke before.
That's awesome.
Well, I had a question, and I think about this all the time with my job. With all the distractions and all the consumerism and everything that we deal with in our daily lives, what's a good tip to remember to go back to our breath when we're caught up in the middle of chaos? There's often times when I will walk into a situation very centered, and then something happens and I just completely forget. And then it's only after that situation passes that I go back to my breath, which does help. I will walk away and I focus on my breath and I can quickly come back. But how do we remember in that moment without losing that focus?
How do we remain so we don't have to come back?
Yes.
In the recognition, the immediate follow-up has to be the exhalation. Empty. It's like a ki in karate. If someone punches you, you have to exhale to absorb the punch so it doesn't bruise or hurt you. It's like you fall, like you brought up earlier about the hammock.
Mm-hmm.
And I was swinging in a hammock during COVID. I hadn't seen anybody physically looking at people, but for 3 weeks. I was in isolation because I had just come from, I was in Belgium for a while studying. I came home and COVID was in full ramp. So I just went to my grandmother's house and chilled. And I saw no people. So I'm sitting in a hammock and I just finished a really nice meditation and the phone rang and I knew I had to get the call. It was 8 o'clock in the morning. Who's calling me at 8 o'clock in the morning? Somebody wants to talk. Something's going on. And so the moment I thought, I'll get that when I get up. I won't answer it now, but I'll get it when I get up. The fraying happened in the hammock string behind me up above my head. I'm about 3 foot, maybe 4 foot off the concrete floor. And I saw the rope fraying. I knew it was going to crash. No. In the moment of my recognizing that, the hammock starts to break and I'm falling. It slowed down just like in the car crash that I had. Everything went in slow motion.
Wow.
I exhaled as I hit the ground to absorb the shock. The shock of falling on the ground is no different than exhaling into these things in this world around us that's moving us to shallow breathe and hold our breath. That puts us in our head. So if someone's telling me something that's dramatic or traumatic, I don't have any drama in my life. So what I'm doing is I'm exhaling when they're talking to me. I'm watching the exhalation continue and not stop. I'm allowing it. So it's the exhalation that we do when someone is wanting to talk about the news or some political or religious or some kind of confusion or something that they're trying to push upon you that's not comfortable. You go to the exhalation as soon as you recognize it, because you're changing your chemistry. You're recalibrating your brain by how you're responding to this. And by choosing to exhale first, you're changing how you used to react. Reacting feeds the problem. Responding gives us a pause so we can make proper decisions that are in alignment with our frequency.
So you're saying instead of responding when someone tells you something, it's
you just made it worse.
And so we should respond
with the lips relaxed.
Oh, that's right.
If the lips are tight, that means that the masseter is tight. If the masseter is tight, then the hips are tight.
That's right. You're a
So,
midwife or a mid.
yes,
What's the
I've
term?
delivered a few babies.
Yeah.
So the exhalation comes without even making a sound. You didn't even notice, but I just did it. I don't inhale first. When you recognize the problem or the challenge or the struggle, don't inhale first to exhale. You exhale with the breath that you have in that recognition. I'm doing it loud so you can hear it, but that's how it
Yeah.
sounds. But you can do it without not even noticing it. I'm doing it
Yeah.
now.
So am I.
It's just emptying the
I will
breath.
have to
Diana.
use that today. I will
'Cause
use that today.
yeah,
Yeah.
you're engaging your full self from the dantian, because this is connecting with the emotional component that's involved,
Yeah.
the attitude, the personality, physical, the mental. You're dealing with everything from there because that's the center, not here. This needs to be clear. So every time you practice the exhalation intentionally in the recognition, you clear your mind. So when I'm walking the circle and this old injury comes up in my ankle from 1976, I don't go there with my mind and start wondering and thinking and worrying and figuring. That's feeding it.
Yeah.
As soon as I feel it, I keep walking. Every time it comes back up in my mind or thought or feeling, I just keep walking. I keep going back to the exhalation. Because going back to the exhalation like that is doing what the Chinese did not want us to know. That is the healing process that happens without doing.
And the inhalation will just follow
Will feed it.
naturally.
Yes, it adds another layer.
I have a knee injury from way, way back. And once in a while, it'll flare when I'm working. So the process would be when I recognize the pain, exhale.
Exhale right away with the air. If it's just that much air, if you only have a little bit of air,
Expel it all.
what you're doing is you're clearing the slate. You're saying, that's not mine. I'm processing it. It's on its way out.
That's awesome.
It came
Love
up
this.
because it's on its way out. It was already there. We brought
Wow.
it with us. Behind the inflammation that we move through this process is where we find the information that we're looking for in our life.
That's beautiful.
I've got a lot of work today.
This is the
I got to remember all
These
this.
are beautiful practices to put
Absolutely.
into
and
place.
it's simple. I want to keep it simple, simple,
Yeah.
simple. Because when it becomes complicated, it's from the ego. It doesn't have to be complicated. So we can recognize when someone is working from their ego and we're watching our breath while we're recognizing it, it can't affect you. So we can be able to sit with our clients and not take on their energy. Sit and listen and be with them so that they can really unfold, because we're not holding on or attaching to anything that they're saying. We're filtering. We're just allowing.
And in that exhale, we're releasing anything
Related.
related. There you go. That's the word I was looking for.
Anything and everything related is done with the exhale, because how do we relieve the pressure that we feel inside? Exhale.
Right.
We get out of hell because hell is hot. So we came in on the inhale. Inhale.
And we exit on the exhale.
The exhale. Between
that's
that is
releasing.
life.
Exit. Exit.
Yes, that's the
Yeah.
life happening between the two breaths. So that's where we go to get the goodies, the marrow, the mitochondria,
Yeah.
the essence, the gene. Many different names, but it's still the same.
Yes.
We call it whatever we want to call it. You could call it what you want to call it, but it's not going to change. It's going to be what it is.
So I'm going to throw another quote out because, Al, you have a lot of amazing quotes. So I'm going to throw one out again. We're breathing the same air, just in our own unique rhythms. There's something poetic about the idea of sharing breath in different rhythms. Can you talk more about that? Or individuality within our unity, if that makes sense.
Yes, the collective and the individuality. When you're born and you take that first breath, that originated from a contract. Your mother's birthing process began with a contraction.
Mm.
When you took your first breath, that was the diaphragm relaxing, but it was you signing the contract to exhale. The exhalation is a contract of the diaphragm pushing the air out. So we're all here on the contract of breathing. We sign a contract without pencil or paper. Just by taking that first breath, you sign a contract. So your breathing is going to be unique, different than anybody else on the planet, because that's your sovereignty. However, there's no one without breath. Each rhythm is unique, but it connects with all the other rhythms through breathing. So we can have our own individual rhythm. Yeah, we can do athletics, we can do music, we can do poetry, we can do things that move the body in a way that our rhythms can connect, but you're still in your same rhythm. We're only sharing the breath in different rhythms, staying in our lane, so to speak, by watching the breath. The breath keeps us in the moment because the breath is always in the moment. It only exists in the now. And that's what makes the now so powerful. And so many people want to avoid it. They don't want to come into the moment. They don't like to relax and be, because it brings up the realities that they're suppressing. So we reach outside of ourselves for the alcohol and the drugs, for the food, and we'll go and shop to not think. We'll eat ourselves to not think. We'll try to shut this down as much as possible, which throws the body out of balance. It throws the equilibrium off. It causes not at easement, but dis-easement. So it's a responsibility to our purpose. That's why we're here. The soul is seeking a purpose. And I found that walking the circle, the soles of my feet are holding my attention so my mind can get some rest. And I'm walking to invest in my soul purpose, because I set an intention before I walk. Once I set my intention, if my intention is to find my purpose, then everything that comes up while I'm walking is going to be related to my purpose. And what am I doing? Exhaling, letting it go. Why? So it can cycle back. So what's meant to be keeps cycling. What's not meant to be, it won't cycle as often. So you can set an intention and use this technique to manifest through movement and breathing.
And do you think when we take a breath, we're breathing the same air that our ancestors breathed? When we're walking in the circle, do you think that it's connecting us to our ancestors? Because when we go inward, it's connecting us with our DNA, it's connecting us with our breath. Do you find that it connects you to your ancestors walking in the circle?
Yes, because anytime that we're in the moment, we're connected with the ancestors. We can only remember them in the moment. The moment is a sense of where we learn about our sense of memory. Memory is a sense. Remember earlier I said that we hold our memories here?
Yeah.
So at night, the brainstem is unwinding from all the tension of the day by the rapid eye movement. The ancestors knew what they did here and what they didn't do. Our work that we're doing, that we are becoming responsible for, is continuing their work that they couldn't accomplish. I am here because of them. So I'm never separate from them. Through my breathing, I'm always connected with them. And
do they guide your practice?
Oh God, yes. Yes, yes. When I left China, I was in China for almost a month. And when I left China 6 months later, I was in Peru drinking the ayahuasca with the shaman with an intention. And my intention brought the ancestors into the journey, or they brought me in because they were already there, because I saw them, and we had conversation. And so I was able to relieve myself of certain pressures that were because of me not being connected. So I recognize them now in the circle walking, in the breath work, in the body work. While I'm working, one of my teachers, who's already crossed over, rest in power and peace. I just hear things, I see things that are related to what they taught me and shared with me. Because they all taught, all my teachers, This is how I recognize a teacher that's not a charlatan or someone who's just playing games or pretending or profiting off of the arts. A real teacher will teach you as an equal, not as someone that's under them, but as an equal. That's how I knew my teachers. And that's how I was able to really totally just open up to them, because my teachers taught me as an equal, and it helped me to respect myself more. Yeah,
That's beautiful.
they're always present with us, And if we don't pay attention, sometimes they'll do things to get our attention because we have work to do. And we go too far off course, that means we're here too much. We're spending too much time up here. Because this has to be able to have access to clarity here. And we can through the exhalation first process. Because that clears the mind. It brings the attention into the soles of the feet while you're walking in a circle. So you're more attentive to your breath, your focus, your concentration. Everything is different, but it's connected to the breath. You're seeing what the focus does, where it is, where your periphery is, where your attention is. It's not here, it's in the soles of the feet, because your feet are reading the routed area in the mat. You're getting tactical feedback through your feet to know where you are. And by doing that, that alignment causes your ankles to align with your knees, to align with your hips, because you're in a perfect geometric circle and you're perfect in your 8 gates. This is what causes the alignment and realignment and strengthening the alignment that you've already established. So it doesn't matter, like I said, what you do. If you're a fireman or policeman or doctor or ditch digger or teacher, bringing everything back to the circle will enhance whatever you're doing, because it stops the mind from roaming and figuring about it. But we're conditioned to do so.
Yeah.
Think hard, Diana. You can do it. Think hard, Tora. You got it. Just don't give up. Think. You can figure it out.
Multitask.
Yeah, sometimes it's not about thinking and figuring. It's about feeling. And that's where Dantian come in the belly, because this is our emotional center as well. The emotions emanate from the Dantian. So everything is connected to that space just below your navel. That's where we dance from.
Yeah.
We sing, we orientate from there. We process our food. We incubate 9 months, more or less. And that's the creative process. This is our creative expression here. And everything happening in the body has to go through here to be addressed by the head. So if the focus in the mind is not here, then we can process, because the focus is in the soles of the feet while you're walking. So you're processing without having to talk or think. And that's the beauty of this type of practice, is that it relieves us from all the mind stuff. It shuts the chatter down. And I study a lot with Brother Richard Haidt, who was on the Harvard team that came across the rapid eye movement in the 60s. I think it was his late 60s. And he asked me to start doing eye movement while I'm walking a circle. And in the practice, I give him feedback, and he says, you got it. You've connected the frontal lobe with the soles of your feet. And that's unwinding while I'm walking. I'm doing the eye movement while I'm walking. And it's just totally helping to rewire all kinds of neurons. And transmitters are really able to fire off and communicate much clearer, because I'm not thinking while I'm walking. All thoughts are referred back to the exhalation and feelings.
It's harder than it looks.
Yes, it is. Because you want to think. We want to think all the time. We'll be walking sometime on the beach, and one of the sisters, she'll walk out of the circle, or one of the guys will just start to stumble to the side. I said, what was this? What were you thinking about? It was like, how'd you know I was thinking? I was like, well, you were thinking or feeling. He said, I was thinking about coffee.
Well, and it's so true, because when you and I were practicing together, one of our sessions together to teach me how to do the Latron method, every time I stumbled, it was because I was thinking about walking. And every time I cleared my mind and just trusted my feet to walk the circle, I would be fine. The minute I would start thinking about it, that's when I would stumble.
It's not allowed. Once you step in that circle, you stop thinking, or it slows down the thinking, because it slows the biorhythms down. The ayahuasca slows the biorhythms down. Breath work slows the biorhythms down. Body work, Pilates, yoga, meditation. So it's not just coming from one, you know? So ayahuasca taught me that. She consolidated everything that I'm doing into one, which is what I call Latron.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, she showed me how they connect and relate so that all my teachers could then speak to me in either of those practices.
That's
Oh,
incredible.
that's
great.
so much. I love that. And so, in staying natural and authentic in a world that is starting to become more artificial, with always looking outside of ourselves for happiness or for gratification, how would you best advise people to stay authentic in this type of setting?
To face their biggest challenge with an exhalation practice first, the biggest challenge, no matter what it is, tackle it. Go after nip it in the bud. Go after the worst, the hardest problem you got, and start to exhale every time it comes to your mind, regardless to who it's connected with or what it's connected with. Go to the exhalation first because you're learning to trust something that you don't see. And sometimes all you have is your breath. And by doing so, you'll separate yourself from that so that it can no longer come into your energy field unless you allow, because we're all on our own. And this journey is personal before it becomes collective. We have to have done our work before we could meet like this, like we're meeting today. We have to have done similar works or been involved in similar practices. Because we're connecting now. We're collecting and connecting now all over the planet. We're not limited in the linear concept or perception because we're multidimensional beings. We're learning to embrace our multidimensional abilities and possibilities by returning to the circle. And the breath was the first circle. It's like coming home.
But that's something that Tori and I are very passionate about, is things that AI can't do. And
It's
that
artificial.
is exactly.
It's artificial. And I believe it's ancestral intelligence, not artificial intelligence. It's ancestral intelligence that we're seeking, and it's within. It's in the bones. It's written in our bones. Now, this is my African teacher speaking now, Melodoma. It's in the bones because the bones hold the knowledge of the past. You go to the doctor, you have to tell him your history. So you have to know your history in order to understand where you are in this life, regardless to where you come from. You have to know your story. You have to know your history. And it's personal because it's a responsibility. We all have an ability to respond, but we're not exercising that ability. So it's weak. So it's hard for us to respond. So we react. And every time we react, we add another layer of stuff.
There's a lot of people that I will talk to in a spiritual way, making suggestions. And a lot of people are very interested. Their curiosity is piqued, but they still refuse to do the work for whatever reason. They're not comfortable. Or if we're all seeking that, what stops us from proceeding forward?
We have to let go of the microwave society. That's just that social processing. We want it now. We don't want to do the work. I want to just push the button.
Quick
Ding,
fix.
it's ready.
Yeah. Quick fix.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they want a quick fix. They want to look the part, but there's no substance inside because how we feel shows on the face. It shows on the face first. And when you're happy, it shows on your face.
Mm-hmm.
When you enjoy and when you're in misery, it shows on the face first. So we can't cover it up. We can't hide it. We can't pretend. And so a lot of people are so used to pretending when it comes to time to really bring forth the fruits of their practice, they don't have a practice. So it's difficult. So they'll get to the point where you just gave them a way out of their situation, but they have to do the work. They'll turn and go the other way because they're not ready to take on the responsibility. It's responsibility. We have an ability, but we got to exercise it like a muscle to make it strong so that we can take on our responsibilities, because it's a taking that we have to do.
And it is definitely hard work to work on yourself. I have a lot of students that will say, you know, that Tai Chi or meditation, because I teach meditation as well. They'll say it's, you know, my mind, I can't. It's Tai Chi is too slow for me, or meditation. I can't handle the quietness. And what I try to explain to them, but not always does it go through, that there's an empowerment when you can go inward and connect to that power inside of you. That's what's real. That's what will give you what you need, what you're seeking. And going within is not shiny. It's not, yeah,
It's not pretty.
right, right. And it's not the pretty, shiny thing as far as social media and the kind of work that I try to teach people. I tell them you can't be taught on a 2-minute TikTok. This is ancient wisdom that has been gifted to us from our ancestors, regardless of what culture you come from. There are so many beautiful practices, so many tools that have been handed down to us by people who didn't have televisions. They didn't have the internet, and they're in our DNA. They belong to us. It's part of us. It's part of who we are. Yeah. And they still don't want it. Like you said, they want that quick fix. They want someone else to do it. Or they rather spend the money and pay a psychic to tell them how they feel or tell them what their ancestors want them to know. Yes. Yeah.
We got what we need, and it's inside, and you can tell who's still seeking outside of themselves, and that helped me to understand how much to share with them, when to share, and how to share, so that they're not overwhelmed. The first two things I would say that drive people away from healing is being overwhelmed and pain. Those two pieces will drive people, make them turn around and go the other way, because they're not ready to be responsible for being overwhelmed and being able to calm in their overwhelmness, and being able to feel what they're feeling and not push it aside or cover it with a Tylenol or a Budweiser or whatever they're putting in there, or shopping, or whatever it is that they're doing to avoid themselves. We have to dive into that, because that's the darkness. And we've been so conditioned to stay away from dark. That's dark. It's a dark day. Oh, she's a dark person. Oh, they got a dark energy about them. Dark is the way that light can shine. Dark represents the past, and we have to embrace it in order to move through it, to process it, so that we can take what's necessary from the situations we've had in the past and build our future with it. So if the past and the future are represented by my hands on both sides, and I'm in the moment, a thought comes up from either one, and I exhale, I didn't go there. I brought it here.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
When the thought comes up and you start to think about it and figure and wonder and worry, you're going to the past or the future. You're like the windshield wiper. It's not even raining. Sooner or later, your windshield wiper wear out, start squeaking, and that get on your nerves. So when the thoughts of the past and future come up while you're meditating or you're having your quiet time, exhale. It won't interfere. It'll make them strong. It'll make your meditation stronger, because you're not using your mind to resolve. You're allowing the breath to resolve. Because the issue is not always with the physical or the mental. Sometimes it's just how we're breathing that's causing the problem. So every time I do that, and say like my wattage is a 40-watt light bulb, that represents my consciousness. Each time I manage to exhale when one of these pieces come up from the past or future, I'm increasing my wattage every time I exhale. Now I got 100 watt. So my consciousness shines on the situations that come up from then on, and I can see it for the reality and avoid having to take it on. That breath, that exhalation is protecting you as well as guiding you.
That's awesome. That's a great analogy.
Yeah, you're increasing your wattage by exhaling, because with a dim light, you can't see much in the dark. And we're surrounded by darkness.
And then we feel disempowered.
Thank you. How else could we see the stars if it wasn't dark? But look at how people have been conditioned and brainwashed and tricked and coerced to see the construct of dark as negative. Then they remain in it without explanation. And they can't find the door out, because they're not looking inside themselves. They're looking into other people, situations, and material things for solutions. It's not there. If I go to a chiropractor and the chiropractor doesn't talk to me about breathing with the adjustment, it's not going to hold. And he can make it worse. Because if I'm resisting and he's cracking and popping, that's a problem.
Mm-hmm. And if you're resisting, you're usually holding your breath.
You're holding your breath or shallow breathing or anticipating what he's going to do. Mm-hmm. You have to get out of the way. And that's the exhalation. Yeah. It empties. And if we empty enough, we can stay clear longer.
Right. Good stuff. Good stuff, Al.
I'm getting so wrapped up into this. I'm stopping my thought. I'm just listening.
I know. Me too. I'm like, oh, wait a minute. That's right. We're doing a podcast. That's right. Thank you for the teachings.
Oh, wow.
I do want to ask there's a couple questions left that I want to make sure that we are able to put in this recording for the listeners. You are very connected to your ancestors. What do you think your ancestors' message to you about your purpose here? What would that be?
Oh, wow. It's funny you bring that up. I had a dream last week. And when I went upstairs to go to bed in the dream, my mom was in the bed. And right away, I was like, wow, she's going to wake up. And I have never missed her since she's been gone. She left in the late 80s. She crossed to the other side, rest in power and peace. And so when I saw her in the bed was the first time that I had missed her. And then I thought, she's going to get up. She pulled the cover back. She got up and she stood in front of me and she grabbed me and hugged me. And she said, in your alone time, you will never be lonely. You have what you need and you are enough to do exactly what you're supposed to do.
Oh, it's beautiful.
And then I have my other ancestors that are already gone before me who are involved with my different practices. And so they always are present.
That's beautiful.
What a beautiful connection that is.
So when you say your practices, are they teachers? They're not DNA ancestors, but they're teacher ancestors.
I just see them. I don't give them a label.
Okay.
Ancestors to me are ancestors. All of them. Yours are mine. Mine are yours.
Yeah.
They see what they did here and what they didn't do. So once they give up the breath, they're not here in the physical flesh. It's one energy. Hope for the same thing. Peace. Fullness. Because we have grace and mercy. We just have to take the responsibility for the self to be able to cultivate that energy and embody it. So we can embody our practices. Everybody's practice is different, but there's no practice without breath. Just like everybody's journey is different, but there's no journey without breathing. Breath is like universal, but breathing is personal. When we're watching the breath and we're listening, we can see behind the tone that the person is using to say something. And the tone is telling us more than what the tongue is saying. If they say, I can't, then they won't. It's like some of your students were saying, I can't, then you won't. You're telling yourself, you're creating that frequency within yourself.
Yeah.
It has everything to do with what you're trying to manifest or achieve. But you're thinking that you can do it from here. This has to be clear to compute the moment by moment. See, walking in the sand doesn't allow you to balance between your steps. It forces you to balance yourself between each breath. That's where the magic is. That's life between each breath. We can recover. We can recognize. We can relate. We can remember. We can release. We can repair. We can rejuvenate. We can regenerate in that space between each breath. That's the magic. That's the medicine. And it's in everybody. But we have to slow down and find a way to do it. Build a practice. Everybody has to have a practice. And COVID exposed the fact that you need a practice. I had a practice. I went straight into my practice during COVID. It made me stronger because I got to use my skills and my tools that I had acquired along the way. That was a pause. COVID was a pause. Whether it was real to people or not, it didn't matter. It was a pause. It was like, hey, where are your tools? What are you doing? And a lot of people weren't doing anything, thinking they're doing a lot. And it became miserable. And now this year, this is a reset. You know I had to go there.
That's all right.
All the numbers came from zero. So we can always add up any group of numbers and get one digit. And that one digit came from zero. We never gave zero any power or respect on the clock in the numerical system. Zero meant nothing. It was even used to degrade someone.
Right.
Yeah. So 2024, if you add those numbers up, it comes out to 8.
Right.
2025 is a 9. These numbers have meaning. The 8 is powerful. It's infinite. It's the way the energy moves in the human structure. The 9 is a moment of a great event, a pregnancy. Things are really dark right now for many people, but it's beautiful because the darkness represents the birth canal. We're birthing something that's too big for the mind to hold. This is the birthing. This is it. This is the 9. And people think that after the 9 comes a 10. No. You got to turn it around. The 0 comes before the 1 because the 1 came from the 0. We're returning to the source. 0, we're returning to the circle again. And that's why the Bagua circle walking is so powerful in this time, because it's in total alignment with the energy of numbers and letters that we use to communicate. We use letters. 1, 2, 3 is ABC. We use letters of the alphabet to cast spells through spelling, through writing, to curse, through tone of voice. When we do that, we're doing it to ourselves. So we're correcting that by understanding the numbers and the letters, that they all came from 0. So everything is going back to circle, back to 0. A lot of people are holding on to a whole lot of stuff. It's going to be hard for them to understand this because of their material connection. They're attaching, they're latching out of fear of not having. Some people will just grab and try to take it all because they're greedy. And greed always catch up with the greedy. So don't be greedy. Learn to be satisfied.
That's beautiful. So when does the year 0, when does that start? In January?
Well, it started for us once we woke up and found our practice and started to embody our own energy and cultivate inner training. The numerical finish is as they have it set. The end of this year, it's done. You know, I didn't create the system. I just recognize it. And it's finished. We're going to get a reset. You can feel it.
Yeah.
You can see it in people. People are struggling. And they're scared. They're pretending, but that's just superficial.
That's why we created the human community online, is to give people a place to go who are seeking, who are scared, and they want to be empowered to reconnect inward.
Yeah, I love it. And everybody that I've turned on to human community, they just light up.
Thank you.
And
I appreciate that.
I shared it with my my study group Wednesday, and they got the site, and they'll be checking the podcast that you put out, and they like it. They like your intention that you guys wrote out what your
mission statement.
Our mission statement. Yeah.
They love that, because that's what told me that this is good. I can speak here freely.
Thank you. We are so grateful.
Yeah.
And of course, you know, one of the things that we always ask every guest is what you think about artificial intelligence. Now, when I had asked you a while back, you had said AI isn't new. This is another one of your quotes. AI isn't new. It's an ancient intelligence, and we're just using it wrong. You also said our design is divine. It doesn't need the outside.
No.
And then you also said we need to stay natural.
Natural, yes.
So, with all that being said, my question is, you describe AI as ancient intelligence that we're misusing. What did you mean when you said that?
So AI is connected to all individuals, but it's not artificial as they say, because they say AI in that term to keep control of what is bubbling up from the bones. The information is in the bones. The pressure causes it to come to the surface. AI, the artificial intelligence, is actually ancestor intelligence. The ancestors are connected with our bones through the memories that we carry of them. So they're deciphering these pieces of information and putting it in this piece that's totally not organic. So we have to stay connected with nature, because nature is not artificial. And artificial means what? It's fake. It's not real.
Yeah.
So we want to just go so fast and do it, and we just had CDs and cassettes and phone booths and all this technology that came and went so fast. We can't slow down. We want it more, push button, easy, make it easy. I don't want to take on the responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
I just want it. So we have to really start to discern our relationship with this artificial intelligence. We discern it through our ancestral intelligence that we carry with us, that you can also call it your congenital chi. What you brought with you from birth was an intelligence that can't be tricked by artificial. I can give you 2 strawberries, one from the greenhouse and one from the garden in the field. If you're in touch with your being and you're present in your life, you're in the right frequency for yourself, you'll know the one that came from the greenhouse. It has no flavor. It didn't come from the ground. So your body has this intelligence to pick the bones from the fish when you eat it. Your tongue can pick up on the bone and keep it from going down your throat. Your body has an intelligence through your autonomic nervous system. That's connected to your body intellect, your intelligence that you know inside you. At night when you sleep, if your bladder is full, you're woken up through your autonomic nervous system because it's directly connected to the bladder. So the body has these built-in technologies that we have to make and be friends with and build relationship with so that we can walk more fluidly in our authentic being, our authentic frequency. Because AI is not the full solution, and it's only going to know what we feed it. A lot of people are feeding it negative intention because of power and control, and it can be used that way on people who don't know how to read energy. But we must learn to read energy, and the energy of AI it's easy to read. It's not real. It's what they want it to be. And our ancestral energy is what it is because it has no other choice.
And it's interesting because we hear stories of, the technologies that are being introduced. We actually, you have to kind of dig to find it because they're not really sharing it that much on the news. But there's a term which, if some of you don't know, it's called transhumanism, where they're upgrading the human. It's an actual thing. I think the movement started in the 1960s, maybe.
Plastic parts.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And it's interesting because it's like they're trying to replace parts of us that you're talking about. Our knowledge is in the bones, our ancestors are in our DNA. But the more we replace with these artificial pieces, there's not going to be any, and there's nothing left.
But the parts that are being replaced will atrophy, so it'll be
Yeah.
the vicious cycle that then we need to upgrade because of that part of us died, and now we need to replace it with something else.
The body can do that on its own.
Mm-hmm.
What I spoke earlier about through the recognition. The recognition is the healing. It's not just to recognize in the mind, it's a full on. Because when we remember, that's a heart. We remember through the heart because the heart is just like the breath, present in all situations of experience. The heart is there. It's measuring the frequency of what you're going through. And if you're not ready to deal with and process that, the heart will store that somewhere in the body, usually where we're weak. So we have to go through the heart. It has to be a change of heart to change what's inside here. We can't change the heart without changing the way we breathe. Can't change anything without the breath first. That's the first change, because it is connected to all change. And it's always changing. It's always moving. And it has a still point. It's dual. Once we understand the duality of breath, which is exhale, inhale, expand, contract, the breath is dual. And we're born in a world of duality. We have to understand that world in order to become creative. In our ability to create, we have to master the duality, understand the contrast. Yes, no, left, right, up, down, night, day, wet, dry, cold, hot. It's just duality. It's just, there's a mirror, there's a match for everything in this. Once we understand that, then we can create from that. So we're recycling energy that has always been. There's nothing new. We're just learning to recycle differently. And not just material things, but we're recycling our energy, our relationship. We're recycling the energy of it and cleaning and purging and healing the whole time because of the intentions that we have. We have to set intentions. We have to be intentional.
Diana and I often talk about how amazing the human body is. And Diana one day had asked me, I don't understand why people want to upgrade our humanism. What's wrong with being human? She asked me. So that kind of became one of our slogans to people out there, like, what's wrong with being human? We're amazing. We're divine. Can you speak to that more, Al?
We lack humanity. So if we lack humanity, are we fully human? Are we fully being human? When we don't feel when we see someone hurt, when we don't feel when the animal is suffering, when we don't feel when we see them pollute the waters, the earth, we feel that. And a person that doesn't feel that is because they don't have humanity. Most healers are empaths. Yeah. We pick up on energy. We read energy. We feel. We have feelings. We're real. We work with our senses. A lot of people won't work with their senses. So they'd rather replace the parts rather than use what they have to heal the parts. They would rather just replace it. So you see people, I live out here on the Outer Banks where there's a lot of very wealthy people. And a lot of people come out here, they'll use a grill for one season and put it on the side of the road. They just use something one time, just throw it out, which is treasures for other people. But
Sure.
I mean, like, hey, wow, that's crazy. I couldn't do that.
One man's junk is another man's treasure.
Treasure, yeah. So we want plastic parts. We want plastic parts, plastic heart, plastic this and plastic that. And a plastic heart, the rhythm is not the same as a real heart. It's different.
It just boils down to not wanting to do the work.
Don't want to do the work. Yeah.
It's
We're here to
just
do the work. We're here to
shortcuts.
heal. We're here to heal. Because you come here on earth, you can feel your pressure. You have pressure outside you, pressure inside. That's duality. The one outside can be disguised in multidimensional facets or forms. Formlessness. It can be unseen. Same thing inside. You can feel problems with your organs. You can feel problems with your organs that are not real. So you're dealing with something that you feel that's not really there. It's the illusion based on how you've been taught to think and move this life. Everything is everything is a mirror. And breath is our most greatest mirror because it's right there in the heat of the moment. We can use it to get reflection.
I love that. So what message would you like to leave our listeners with, especially those who may be feeling disconnected or who think they might be ready to do the work? What would you say to them?
I would say face your biggest obstacle, because you'll find out that that's what's blocking the door to your healing, is the biggest obstacle that you got going on, because it's going to occupy more space in your mind than something that's small and not as challenging. To face it with the exhalation first. Because the breath is not the solution. It brings you to your solutions personally. Because breathing is personal. So you may be breathing almost proper for your life type, but you just need a little tweak. And so by learning something different or breathing in a different way, and all of a sudden the light bulb goes off, you're like, ding, ding, like, oh, wow, that worked. Let me do that again. And that repetition is what grows your neurons. So now the neurons can fire and communicate better inside to help clean up this mess that we created without having to rely on AI.
Yes.
Let's return to the ancestors. It's time to use what we have. I would say to them that there's something you haven't been told how to use or shown how to use or demonstrate it. And it's your breath, it's your breathing. And we need to find ways of returning to it. And I would say your biggest struggle, use it. Use that as a trigger to return to the exhalation. Because once you return to the exhalation first, things are going to change. You'll have more oxygen in your brain. Both sides are getting fed. So now you can look at something different. You can look at it in a different way. You don't have to keep looking at it through the old paradigm or the old way of thinking or the old way of looking. You won't have to be reacting from your conditioning. That you can find that pause in your breathing to have a choice that's going to suit your needs. So I would say return. Come back to the circle. Come back to what you have. Exhale first. When you feel uncertain, doubt, fear, anger, frustration, grief, a trauma keeps coming up, a memory of it, go back to the exhalation first. Because I believe that, to me, breath is our guide, it's our guard, and it's our God, without denomination, without a building. Because we are the temple. So it's omnipotent. It's Alpha and Omega. It's always here. It was here before we took our first inhalation. It was here because the ancestors breathed it. So we have to take on that challenge. Take it on. Face it. Face the boogeyman.
Well said.
Recognize it. You got it. You know what to do. Once you recognize, you'll see different. You just recognize the breath. How is that thing you're wrestling with? How is it breathing you? That's where you start. It starts with the self within. Because then that person shifting or gaining a little bit of footage is going to show in the people around them. They'll see it. They'll want to know, what are you doing? I want some of that. You don't look worried anymore. Or you look more happy. Or you look like you've released a load. It shows on the face first.
That's beautiful.
I'm just breathing.
The music, the musicians have already sang a lot of these messages to us, and it's nothing new. It's just in the bones. We have to wake it up and move it around. There's a song that went, ain't it funny that the way you feel shows on your face, and no matter how you try to hide, it states your case. We can't hide what we feel inside. It shows on the face first. So you show up in the village in Africa, in any village, you go to the village and you say, you want to know how the village is, how everybody is? Ask, how are the children? That will tell you how the village is. The village is based on the safety and love for the children.
Yeah.
Wow.
Thank you, Al.
That's a lot,
That's so
yes.
beautiful. What a great answer.
Yes.
tell our listeners how they can find you, how they could find your magnificent self.
You can find me at my website. It's one word, breatheaboutlife.com. You can reach me on WhatsApp, and I'll let you into a private circle that I have there with about less than 50 people. That this is all we talk about, because we keep the narrative just what it is. And so it's much easier. I don't have to worry about conversations that are not in alignment with what our intention is. I had to release myself. The ancestors, they got on me for a while about leaving social media, and I kept ignoring it. And then I started to feel the results of being there when I shouldn't. And I had to drop off, and I just dropped off with no warning for a break. And it felt so good, I decided not to go back. And it'll be 2 years coming up, probably in the fall. October sometime. So you can't reach me through Facebook or Messenger, because I kept my Facebook so that someone couldn't use my image or likeness, just to protect my energy. But I do answer messages through Messenger, and I'm about to think I'm going to go into LinkedIn, and there's a couple of other ones, even Substack. I've been thinking about that.
Mm.
So there's some other pieces coming in, but right now it's through my website.
And they can always reach out to me, because I can always get them in touch with you as well, or
Yes,
Diana.
And we'll plan something for you soon in the area where you're living. I'll just come down and we'll do some work. We'll do some class or some workshop or whatever
Sounds amazing.
to share with the people, because I love sharing, because when I do, I get to explain it in a different way, because we're all unique. Beautiful. Yeah, and my website has my phone number as well. If people go there, they can get that. And I do this work by phone as well. And if you're in the Outer Banks, give me a buzz. Let's connect. Let's walk. Let's do some training. We can even go in the woods and do a walk and talk.
Mm.
That's some of the therapy that I do here. We call it walk and talk. We go into Next Head Woods and we walk and we talk, and we have quiet and silent. We sit, we contemplate, we walk and we talk.
I'm
Beautiful.
going to have to make another trip out there. I was just recently there.
Yeah.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah,
I'll
it's
have to go out there
crazy
again.
hot out here, right?
Yeah. Right now, I mean, I've got the fan on me because the air is just, it's so hot today in North Carolina.
Yeah.
But Outer Banks is beautiful. So, Diana, when you come back, we'll take a trip out there,
Okay.
and we'll visit Al and Anne so you can see Anne again.
Yes.
Yep.
Another
I
shout out to Anne. We love Anne.
Yay.
Saw her the other day. We had a snack together
Did you?
at Brown's.
Aw. God, I love
That's
her.
awesome. Well, this has been an amazing talk. I have
has been
enjoyed
amazing.
myself so thoroughly. Learned so
Yes.
much.
And I have not spoken to your brain. I've spoken to your heart. Because
That's what truly it feels like it.
There's nothing new. I'm bringing nothing new to the table. This is ancient and old, and we are recycling the technology in a different way than artificial.
Ah, I love it. Yes.
I love y'all.
Thank you. Thank
Thank
you,
you, Al,
Al.
so much.
We love you. Thanks so much for being here with us today.
Yes.
And for those
feel
who are interested in any of our workshops, please visit our website at www.thehumancommunity.com. You can also go to our YouTube channel where we offer free meditations. And what else am I missing? Oh, subscribe, like, and share.
Yes. Yes.
Please.
Thank you, Al.
Thank you,
Thank you.
again.
Thank you. Respect.
Thank you. We'll see you soon.